Let's talk about my March plans, shall we? So hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Fatmata and this is Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art. I'm really happy to have you here and I wanted to start talking about my March sewing plans. I have a trip middle of March, and along with that there are some other plans that I want to kind of put together for things that I would wear while I'm there visiting, as well as my general March sewing plans. So I also have a spring break from school in March as well, and I have not determined yet if we're going anywhere or if I will have some time at home during that break. So there might be some additional time that I might have to sew as well. So I'm really excited about all of those things. There is definitely a color story going on in my March makes, but that often gives me a lot more, encouragement in my sewing because one, my overlocker thread can remain the same color, and as well as, just spinning a lot of bobbin threads and using the same thread there as well. So I'm going to talk you through what I'm hoping to make for the month of March. So diving right in, I want to talk about these two cotton jersey fabrics that I have. Now, I picked this up at the thrift store, actually, at Value Village last year, and I was just really surprised to find such great quality knits there. So I have this almost like crimson colored knit, and I believe it is a cotton jersey just because of the amount of stretch it has in there and the feeling of it. It definitely feels more like cotton. And this is actually in the round, which if anyone knows why certain knits are like produced in the round versus flat, could you let me know, please? I'm not as familiar with that. I'm sure I could also look it up right after this, but if you know, let me know. So anyways, this is a fabric that is actually in the round, so I would have to cut it open, as well as, was this fabric also in the round? And this is a cream color of a very similar material. Yep, and this was also in the round. So I found both of these at the thrift store and I was really excited about them. While this is cream or ivory, it's not completely sheer, which is something that I also liked about it, but I would also just probably wear a slip under this just to be on the safe side. So I have both of these fabrics and I want to put them together to make an amazing dress, and I am torn between these right now. So I have Butterick B6621, and this is meant to be super easy. I am thinking about view A and doing a bit of color blocking on this. And then there is, of course, S8982, which I've fallen in love with. This pattern, though, does not have a very clear sort of design line feature that would allow you to highlight two separate fabrics. So I do think I'm leaning towards the Butterick one for this particular dress. I would also most likely lengthen mine a little bit and wear it with boots. So that's the idea for this, and because it's a knit garment, I'm hoping that it's a bit faster. Really looking forward to getting this made up. I think it will be a really nice casual sort of garment to wear. All right, I pulled this out. This is really wishful thinking, but hear me out. I don't really have a pattern for this. I just have more of the idea. Back in 2016, when I was preparing for my wedding, I remember my best friend took me to this awesome wedding dress shop in Old Town Alexandria in Virginia, and I got to try on this dress that was so far from what I thought I would ever wear to my wedding, but I fell in love with it. Like, the skirt was this petally sort of, had these layers of tulle that were just like, they looked almost like tulip petals turned downward, and you could see the various layers. It's gorgeous. I picked up this silk fabric from G Street Fabrics last year. You could see that in my Silk Sonic fabric haul. So I think I have a little over 4 yards of this gorgeous silk fabric. That skirt has never left my mind. I didn't end up getting like a white gown for my wedding, so this would be like me reliving and being able to actually see myself in that look. So that's my thought. I would have to I think this might have to be its own separate video when I do attempt to make this. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd like me to just document the process of figuring out how I would get those petal pieces. And of course, this is going to be inspired by, I don't even think I have enough fabric to make it as voluminous and as all of the things as the dress, the wedding dress that I tried on was, but I want to get the essence of that with those really nice soft petals. And I think it would just be the most dreamiest skirt to like walk in, right? To see those petals kind of billow in the wind. And I cannot wait to work on it. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd love me to make a separate video when I'm making this. That is a very ambitious goal. Then moving on to this make, I would actually love to wear this top on top of that petal skirt. And I think if I were doing that, I would want it to be a bit cropped, right? So that it just sits right over the skirt. So I have said for a long time that I want to revisit this top that I started making in my red collection in 2021 that is unfinished. And I think this is the year. So I'm going to figure out how I can utilize this and make it work. I have not really selected a pattern. I will just try and use the pieces as they are and just see how I can actually finish it out so that it's a wearable top. And I would wear those two things together. All right, now we're gonna talk about another quite ambitious make, okay? And that is with this amazing fabric. It's so darling. It's the richest red I've ever seen, especially if you see the underside of it that doesn't have, it's so vibrant. Oh my gosh. On top of it though, it has this sort of like pale blue, orangey, like, I don't know, it's sort of imprinted right on top of it. It's gorgeous. I found this at Value Village in 2020 maybe. And any Hoosers, there is this Carolina Herrera gown sort of situation that has this asymmetric sort of neckline detail where it folds over and has this dramatic, really huge bow right here on the neck. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Pinterest gets me. Like, my Pinterest understands who I am fashion wise. And I was like, I love that. I've pinned it, I've repinned it, I've seen it in other colors, and then I've pinned it again. That's how much I love it. So I have been tinkering with this idea, and when I was trying to figure out what I would want to make with this, I thought, how luxurious would I feel with this like really bright, bold red just like enveloping me and having this dramatic bow right here on the side. As far as how I would make it, so the S9114 dress did give me some ideas when I was actually working with this. Now the Carolina Herrera dress is not drop shoulder, like this is drop shoulder. This is where the seam for the shoulder is, and that garment, the shoulder is like where it needs to be, and it has a full sleeve that sort of just billows out into a bell sleeve. Now I could try and hack a shirt pattern that's just larger than me, like larger than my actual size, so I have that ease that the gown has, and have the sleeve sit right on my shoulder where it should be. I was also thinking, like, would I personally care if it was drop sleeve? And while yes, I want my garment to be inspired, but it doesn't have to be identical, right? Like, I'm not looking for it to be identical. Since I've already cut this, would it be easier for me to just use the S9114 and hack it to bring this, you know, the neckline all the way over to the top part of my shoulder? I hope I'm explaining this right. Have it cut down, and then I would use this side, right, the right side, and just have it stop right here at the neck. I have to figure out how they finished the insides. I haven't been able to find actual live pictures of it at various angles because it's sold out everywhere and they don't really show me all of those details. But I'm assuming that there's some sort of like snap or button closure situation happening, and I have seen the bottom of it where they're wearing it and it sort of splits there. So I have some thinking to do, but I definitely think that would be such a gorgeous thing to wear. I love it so much. So I pulled this out, and hopefully I'll get to making this as well. So I have 3 more fabrics here. I believe I had previously mentioned this awesome cotton fabric that I picked up in my most recent President's Day sale at G Street Fabrics. is this awesome cotton with the red and white sort of cotton fibers weaving together on the warp and weft threads like that. And it's just glorious. I want to make my Simplicity 6268 out of this. My hope is that I'll be able to test this out in the cerulean blue Ponte knit that I also picked up at G Street recently, see if I like it, and then make it out of this. I wouldn't want this to not work and to be sad that I wasted it, but I would love to make that out of this fabric. Final two, I pulled out an Ankara fabric that has this really rich red, because I was just trying to fit into the color story, okay guys, but I love this geometric sort of print. And you know what I think I would like to see made out of this is this McCall's pattern. So that's M7925, and I really think this could be gorgeous. I would make view D that the model is wearing. Now, one of the things I would say is that the pattern says that it calls for cotton blends, eyelet, linen, and crepe fabrics. So this is 100% cotton. It's not a cotton blend. I do think that it would be on the stiffer side for a dress like this. However, for fabrics that are 45 inches wide, they call for view D in like a size 12, which usually I cut 6 1/8 of a yard. 6 yards. So I do have a cut of 6 yards here of this Ankara print, but it's a lot. So I am considering it. However, I have not yet cut into that fabric. I have not yet cut into that pattern, so it would be something that would take up more time because I'd have to figure out how to cut it and make it work and all those things. But I think it would be lovely, and it would just be something that I would wear, you know, for a full day, and I think it would be another statement piece. So considering that. Finally, I pulled out this amazing Mood Fabric online find, and I love this print so much. It's like beckoning spring to come, and I am just so smitten with it. It has this awesome like blue and gold sort of frames around these bursts of florals, and it's just glorious, and I love it so much. Now, this is a cotton voile, and I've worked with cotton voile only once before. It's another Mood Fabrics find that I had picked up last year, and I made a wrap dress, and I used the cotton voile as the skirt of the wrap dress. I really did not like that, and it sort of turned me off to using cotton voile as a full dress or something that's meant for a bottom, like pants or a skirt or anything like that. But in looking back at it, I think the issue that I had with that is that there wasn't anything to weigh that skirt down, right? I just sort of had it at the bottom of this circle skirt. There was no ruffle or tiered element to that skirt, so it really was super light, and that's what allowed it to just sort of blow in the wind, and not in a good way, not in the way that I would want. However, I think I have 2.5 yards of this, and I do think I want to make a dress out of it. I told myself to not do that, to only make a top, but 2.5 yards seems like a lot for a top, right? And then I would just have scraps left over and not really know what to do with it. So I would be interested in considering a dress again. And I don't know if those are famous last words, but if I don't love it, then I can always just hack it into a top, I'm assuming. We'll see. I want to revisit S9225. And this is something else that I would be hacking. And one of the things or reasons why I want to use this Simplicity pattern to do the hack that I'm thinking of is because of the design lines. They have a ton of gathers at the neckline, both in the back and in the front. And I want this to be a dress that I can slip on over my head to make it a bit easier, not only to make, but also a bit easier to wear in the warmer months. And I think this cotton voile would be an awesome candidate to kind of test out that vision and see if it would work. So I will also kind of report back to see how this goes when that time comes. Now, as I'm looking through all of these plans, I do recognize that it's a lot, right? So I've just, I think, stated to you maybe 7 plans, if not more. And that's a lot to do, especially since my trip is in the earlier part of March, right? It's mid-March. So I would have a lot of work ahead of me. I don't know that all of these will get made up. So in thinking about prioritizing, I guess I just need to figure out what would be most essential for me to wear while I'm there. How many priorities do I have? Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. 5 priorities. I think that's where I stop. That's what I'm going to call as my priorities. These 2 lovely dresses, I think this would be a beautiful spring dress that I can make anytime throughout the spring and I wouldn't feel bad about it. I can make this dress at any time and still wear it and not, you know, feel like I needed this occasion to wear it. So I think I will not prioritize these, but if I get to them, yay! If not, it's fine and there will be time, okay? Okay, so these are my 5 priorities right here. Still a lot, but I'm just gonna need like a weekend off to get these done. That's what I would love. Anyways, let me know which of my March plans you're most excited to see. Any thoughts, ideas, comments, or suggestions, let me know and I will keep that in mind. I am so excited about these plans and I love when I sew in a color palette. It's just one of my favorite things. So that is also bringing me a lot of joy right now. I hope that you are inspired and that you are getting your thoughts together about what you want to make this March. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, you all. Stay creative. Bye-bye.